Hello and welcome back to GoldStopTrades.com. This is Jeb Hanwerger, and we're here today with a new and special guest with us, Rob McLeod. Rob is president and CEO of IDM Mining. IDM can be traded as IDM on the TSX Venture, and it also can be traded as RVRCF on the OTC. Thanks, Rob, for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me, Jed.
For those who are not familiar with the mining sector, I was wondering if you could give us a quick background of your career and the mining family that you come from.
Absolutely. I'm blessed to be a third-generation Canadian miner in British Columbia. I'm a geologist. My father, grandfather, and also my uncle were all underground miners, specializing in northwestern British Columbia, where our flagship project is located. My uncle, Don McLeod, was a very successful mine builder and promoter in the 70s through 1990s, and his children, Catherine McLeod-Seltzer and Bruce McLeod, have also gone on to be very successful in their respective careers. Catherine had one of the biggest discoveries of the 1990s, with Arequipa Resources, and my cousin Bruce is currently CEO of Sabina Gold and Silver. So we're one of the better-known mining families in Canada, and I've had a degree of my own success as well. The largest of which was Underworld Resources, where I was the founder and VP Exploration, and we made a gold discovery in Canada's Yukon territory, which triggered the largest staking rush since the Klondike in 1898, and we subsequently sold the company to Kinross in 2010. But exploration and mining's in my blood, and I think I'm pretty good at it.
So, Rob, let's talk about IDM Mining. What strikes me of particular interest is I look at your major shareholders, Oban, Lakeshore, Seabridge, Kinross, insiders own 15%, Delbrook Capital. What do they find so interesting in the IDM Mining story?
Well, we're a unique situation in Canada. We're a pure play gold company, and our flagship asset, which is called Red Mountain, is an advanced stage, shortly to be in development project that is really well suited to our current market environment. It's a high grade, between 7 and 10 gram per ton gold deposit. The best aspect of it is that it's underground bulk mineable. It averages about 45 feet in width, so you can do low cost, long hole stoping that would be in the lower quartile of producers, and that's what companies like Oban or Lakeshore, which I guess is soon to be Tahoe, are looking for. And we're currently in the permitting stage. We expect to receive our permits early in 2017, enabling us to start construction. And also we've kicked off our feasibility study, which we're optimistic will show very good economics. This is a project that can be built for quite a low capital cost. It's certainly less than $100 million Canadian. We're hoping it'll be, based on our July 2014 preliminary economic assessment, it showed a capex of about $76 million for a 1,000 ton per day underground operation. So, these are the type of projects the market's a little bit better over the past month, but the type of projects that, majors, mid-tiers, smaller producers are looking for. And, in the case of our most recent investor, Oban Mining, the founders of Oban are the fellows that built the Canadian Malartic mine for Osisko, which they subsequently sold to Yamana. And, their ambition is to build another coast-to-coast Canadian mid-tier gold mining company. And, they saw Red Mountain as a unique project in Canada that is close to production. Potentially 2 years out.
Could you sort of give my subscribers an understanding of where you're located? I mean, you're right up in that British Columbia area where Pretium is and Seabridge is, and kind of
the term we use is the Golden Triangle. This is certainly the richest area in Western Canada and one of the richest areas in the world for gold mineralization. There's very historic, significant mines, including Eskay Creek, which arguably was the richest mine of the modern era anywhere in the world. And a more recent story, of course, is Pretium and their spectacular Valley of the Kings development project, which they're currently building that mine. And I think that'll be one of the richest mines in the world. And right adjacent to Pretium is Seabridge and their absolutely massive KSM project, where they're approaching 100 million ounces of gold in all categories. So this is mining country. It's a low risk area for mine development. There's a clear cut permitting process is quite expedited. We have great relationships with the local First Nations, and my hometown of Stewart, which is only 15 kilometers away from Red Mountain, is probably the most pro-mining place on the planet and located on tidewater. So, we're close to grid power. It's an ideal location in northwestern BC.
Rob, talk to us about the upside. We're kind of, the gold market's beginning to turn here. Where do you see any exploration upside with this project?
Well, I go back to some of the companies and projects that I just mentioned, both Pretium and Seabridge. We're in the same belt. It's the same type of host rocks. We have a very large, what us geologists call a footprint in terms of alteration, mineralization, old mines, and showings that extend, over about a 9-mile long corridor. And, I used to work on this project back in the early 90s for a mid-tier producer called LAC Minerals. And, LAC was, at the time, they were fighting, hostile takeover offers from Barrick and Royal Oak mines. They were looking to put Red Mountain into production as quickly as possible. They sunk a production size decline, over 6,000, or actually more like 10,000 feet of underground development that we can use for production. But they only did exploration really focused on the resource area. Doing the infill drilling, doing underground bulk samples, engineering studies. They didn't focus a lot on the exploration upside in the whole belt. And what's actually a very interesting aspect to not only IDM but other projects in the area is that if you're a believer or not in global warming, I don't know, but the glaciers are retreating at a remarkable rate and exposing all sorts of new mineralization. Red Mountain itself only melted out from underneath alpine glaciers in the late 1980s. Valley of the Kings at Pretium, that spectacular deposit, it was under the ice in up until about 10 or 15 years ago. So there's tremendous exploration upside, but we think where the real intrinsic value for our shareholders and investors will be in getting a high-grade, low-cost, low-capex underground mine fully permitted and with a feasibility study complete in a little over a year. We're currently, we think we've been hit like most other junior companies in this terrible market. We're trading at between an $8 and $10 million market cap for what is a near-term producer. So we think we're really significantly undervalued.
Rob, you've had a lot of success in the Yukon with Underworld Resources. Talk to us a little bit about this Yukon Portfolio, which you just acquired. I know that there's been, I think, $25 million that was spent on exploration.
Yeah, so it starts with a little bit of history. I mentioned Underworld Resources, where we had tremendous success working with now who's the most famous prospector in Canada, a fellow named Sean Ryan. I acquired the property from Sean, and it was his great work that helped give us the data so we could go in and drill and make discoveries. He also did the same with Kaminak Gold and their Coffee project. That was a nearby property, big soil anomaly, and then Kaminak later on went in and drilled it, made the discovery, and just announced a very positive feasibility study. Sean is one of the best prospectors anywhere, and he formed a company with some investors, albeit during the top of the most recent bull market, and the company was called Ryan Gold. And they spent, as you mentioned, $25 million advancing this huge portfolio, 65 projects. They took over 150,000 soil samples, and soil geochemistry is the key exploration tool that you use for exploring in the Yukon, because despite the terrain, there actually isn't a lot of rock exposure. So you use the soil samples to find where the anomalies are, and then you go in and drill them. So all this work was done, from 2011 to 2013. And then when the market started to crater, Ryan Gold basically went into hibernation mode. And it was acquired by Oban in a four-way merger. And to be honest, the Oban guys, they specialize in the Canadian Shield of Eastern Canada, the famous Abitibi belts, and in Quebec and Ontario. And so they thought that taking the Ryan Gold portfolio and putting it in the hands of a team that knows how to explore in the Yukon would be the most value for them. So we're still compiling all the data, but there are some really phenomenal looking prospects that have had all this work done. They just haven't had any diamond drilling. So we think this is going to be a remarkable opportunity for our shareholders and for investors on a future exploration pipeline when that sort of market returns. And since so much money was spent on them, the projects are in good standing. There's a very low holding cost. So we're in no rush to go out and blow a whole bunch of money on exploration if we're not in a market that appreciates it. But over the past month, it looks like that could turn. So I hope and can't wait to get on the ground on some of these prospects.
Rob, IDMmining.com, investors can find out more info. In conclusion, anything you'd like to leave my subscribers?
It's watch for some. We should be quite active with news flow over the next year. We will be updating our resource estimate, incorporating some drilling that we did in 2014, which we could potentially show some growth upside to the project. The deposits are wide open for expansion. Additionally, we'll be updating our preliminary economic assessment probably in late April, and this will roll into our full-blown feasibility study, which is underway. And we expect to have our feasibility done probably in the third quarter of this year. And for your American subscribers, one important thing, not only for IDM, but if you're looking at any gold mining companies, the price of the Canadian dollar versus the U.S. dollar has, honestly cratered over the past year. So the economics for these Canadian mines and Canadian projects have increased, on in some cases doubling due to that exchange rate. We sell our gold in U.S. dollars, but we pay all our costs in Canadian dollars. So, you look at the other smaller producers that are Canadian focused, like Richmont Mines or Claude or Lakeshore, which just got taken out. It's the Canadian projects that are really benefiting from both the currency aspect as well as the recent rebound in the price of gold and silver.
Rob McLeod, CEO of IDM Mining, which can be traded as IDM on the TSX Venture and as RVRCF on the OTC. Thanks for being here with us.